right, everybody. Welcome back to the Purple Podcast. This is episode number 18 now. I'm your host, Austin Eisert, and I'd like to welcome you all here tonight. And once again, thank you for tuning in. I'm alone on the mic tonight, so there will be no clinkies, but we'll do it spiritually, we'll do it metaphorically. So everybody, clinky, I don't have any drinks right now, but anyways, let's get down into this a little bit. Over the weekend, we had, the Grammys, so the other award show. Last time we talked about the Oscars a bit, and I was openly critical of, the way the Oscars operate nowadays. Not terrible, but I think the Grammys did a very good job presentation-wise, keeping it about the art form and actually truly rating the music, or they just presented it a lot better. It felt a lot more professional. It felt a lot more credible in those regards. I'm not saying I necessarily there's always going to be certain artists and things like that they get the award and you're not going to agree with it, but anyways, they at least presented it nicely. I think they did well in it. I don't necessarily listen to any of the music that is at the Oscars, so that's why I get more into the Grammys. I don't listen to the music in the Grammys most of the time. And if I said it wrong before, the Grammys did it better than the Oscars presentation-wise. I caught myself slipping there tonight. I normally don't, so there's your correction. Anyways, I think the Grammys did it better. I don't necessarily listen to the music. I wish the Oscars were better because I do watch those movies. I actually just watched West Side Story for the first time on Saturday. Wasn't great, but that's okay. Anyways, let's move forward with that. On Monday, NCAA Championship, very good game, to be honest. Crazy game. Kansas ends up winning the national championship, beating the North Carolina Tar Heels 72-69 with an epic comeback. They were down 15 at halftime, and I think they were down 16 at some point in that first half. First half score came back 40 UNC, Kansas 25. So a tale of two halves. Kansas ends up winning 72-69. They beat the Tar Heels 47-29 in that second half with a little help from B-Dubs. Armando Bacot came into that game nursing an ankle sprain. Honestly, warrior performance by him, 15-15. And even it went on in the Duke game as well. He came back right after it happened. So showed a lot of guts doing that, but ankle does end up giving out in an incredibly critical point of the game. It's a tie game, or Kansas is up by one, maybe, is what it is. Sprains that ankle. Kansas ends up coming down, and it's their big man. I can't remember his name. I think it's McCormick. David McCormick comes down, hits a kind of a grown man layup or hook shot is what you'd like. I guess you can call it. Brady Manick is guarding him, so they just didn't have that body inside there. Get it, go up by 3. Kansas tries their best to screw it as well with the inbounds pass that ends up their player runs out of bounds. So that was insane. Some big performances from a few role players that aren't starters. Puff Johnson on UNC before he throws up on the court mid-game, which was pretty gross to say the least. And then on Kansas's side, Remy Martin hit some giant shots down the stretch. So it was a good game. It was an interesting game. It's one of those times where I think Ochai Agbaji ended up winning the MVP of that. But that's how this tournament works, where no one really thought about Kansas. They had no hype coming in. Definitely as a 1 seed, they were probably the most overlooked in those regards. And they didn't have the hardest path, but they won the games. They stayed healthy, which was huge. UNC was beat up down the stretch there. I know Nova had a guard tear his Achilles the game before playing Kansas. So Kansas stayed healthy. and ended up winning it. They played great basketball in the second half, and they earned it. They won it. As much as I don't like to say it, I guess it helps Kentucky in that UNC does not get their 7th national title, as Kentucky has 8. So we're still ahead of them, and still ahead of them by 2. So a little breathing room there. Kansas gets their 4th. Bill Self gets his 2nd. And I guess his last one was in 2008. Pretty far stretch there. It's when they beat Derrick Rose and Coach Cal at Memphis, which was another all-time great tournament game or national championship game. In regards to the bracket challenge, I know I didn't touch on it last time, but I did put up a little poll today, which was, it was fun. Thanks for responding, everybody. Everyone did, or most of the people did end up getting it right in that Connor, and, if I really looked at it, you could have just seen the bracket and you would have known. So if you were honest, congrats to you. If you weren't honest, you still got it right, and I don't really know if you were or not. But anyways, Connor wins with 35. Did have Nova going. Shit, did I? Damn, I think he might have had. I messed it up already. I know I did. So Nova did not go into the Final Four, or in the semifinals. They lost to Kansas. But it doesn't change anything really, because Leiter and Connor, Leiter, who came in second, lost by 1. They both had Villanova. So anyways, I messed that up. It doesn't matter. Connor wins regardless. Leiter comes in second. Mikey comes in third with 29. And Shaboy comes in last with a 27. Tough go for me, but that's all right. No one picked the championship, so maybe it should go to the person who came in last, the winner. No, that can't be how it is. But anyways, that puts a wrap on the college basketball season. We have the NBA playoffs coming up soon, April 16th, I believe. The Bulls just dropped another one last night to an East contending Milwaukee Bucks team, 127-106. Like I said, that team's kind of been struggling down this stretch. We play the Celtics, I guess, at 8 today, so I don't know if that's Central Time or Eastern Time, because let me refresh my laptop here, see if... Yeah, the game's going right now, so 17-12, the Celtics are up. We might face them in the playoffs. Right now we're sitting at 6. We did clinch with that loss, much like the USA national team with their loss to Costa Rica. The Bulls clinch a playoffs position last night with the loss, or despite the loss. They're currently the 6th seed with, I think it's 3 more games, including this one. So 3 more games to go. Last game will be Sunday, April 10th, against the Timberwolves. We play the Hornets as well. So maybe we can get couple cupcake wins, get a little momentum going, get it on a 2-game win streak. Beat the Celtics tonight. Let's do that. But that'll be coming up. Looking forward to it. And then, also today we had, my football club, the Chelsea Blues, drop another pretty embarrassing game, to be honest. I mean, Real Madrid is a good team, and it was raining, but really looked bad. The defenses looked real bad these past 2 matches is what they would call them. Losing to Brentford at home 4-1. That was more humiliating than the one today, but the defense is just looking real shady. Really bad conceded goal by Mendy, just kind of giving away possession straight to Benzema, wide open goal. So he got a hat trick on the day. So not looking great. We have a game Saturday. We will play at Southampton. Maybe get back on track there. And then the second leg of these Champions League quarterfinals will be on Tuesday, April 12th. So pretty full-looking fixture these upcoming days here. So we're down 3-1 in the aggregate score. If you don't know how the Champions League works, you play 2 matches, 1 home, 1 away, and the aggregate score is actually who moves on. So if Chelsea were to win 3-0, they would move on as a 4-3 total score from the 2 matches. And they also did away with away goals. So away goals used to count in their favor. So if there was a tie, the tiebreaker would be an away goal. So if we were to win or go up 2-0, then we'd have a PK shootout, or we'd have extra time and then PK shootout, all that. But not looking great. Have some work to do. Definitely doable, but we are playing away. And, we looked really bad today, and we looked really bad on Saturday against Brentford. So hopefully we can kind of tweak things up. Old Thomas can get the team, cranking, gearing out again. That defense is not looking great, and that's kind of what our presence has been. We play really conservative, really tough defense, and when you're conceding 3-4 goals, with that being your main purpose or main objective in the game, your game plan, that's not a great look. You're not going to win a ton of games that way because we're not scoring much either. We scored 2 goals in these past 2 games, 1 apiece. So go Blues. We'll see how it goes. I'll be, maybe I'll catch that game on Saturday. Maybe I won't. But some soccer ahead for you all. Other than that, coming up, I guess NFL draft a little further out. That's on April 28th. So still have a ways to go. We're not going to dive into that. I'm sure I'll get more into that as we get closer to the day. But tomorrow, 2 big things happening. And, the first one not being the point of the episode or the main point. The Masters start. Not a huge Masters guy. Not that I don't like it and not that I don't watch it. I will watch it. I will keep up with a bit of it here and there, but I don't know. I don't get super hyped for it. It's fun. It's an awesome event. I definitely respect the tournament in all that regards. And, JT, Louisville guy, Justin Thomas, go take it, I guess. I'm not sure anything about his position or his play recently. So we'll see how it goes. Probably tune into a little bit of it, but nothing crazy. The main point of it, let's get to it. We'll get down into it. The Cubs will be starting their season off tomorrow against the Milwaukee Brewers. The MLB season kicks off. I did download MLB The Show. I did play a little bit yesterday, just in practice mode, getting used to the game, swinging a bit, getting used to how I want the settings and everything like that, changing my PCI up. I'm sure this is a bunch of jargon that no one knows about, but if you play the game, you get what I'm saying. Changing my camera angle and all that, just getting used to seeing how everything feels good. Hit around with the Cubs team. They could be fun to play with. They'll be all right. Nothing crazy. They're no all-star team by any means, but they'll be an all right team to play with. I should be able to let my user skill take over and win some games that they probably won't in real life. But the MLB season gets kicked off tomorrow. The Cubs beginning at 2:20 p.m. Not sure if it's Eastern time or Central time. I'm not sure what the standard is here. But the Brewers, and that's a divisional matchup, which the Brewers are the best team in that division. Currently, they were last year as well, winning it. But 1 second here, I got to take some water. Pretty good Brewers team. Best bullpen in baseball. So we're going to learn early what we got, see if we have some sticks on our team, some hitters. But that's a really, really dangerous bullpen. Corbin Burns, Brandon Woodruff, Freddie Peralta, Adrian Hauser, Eric Lauer. Those are 5 pitchers who last year, 3 of them were under a 3 ERA, which is in earned run average. And anything under 4 is serviceable, pretty good, pretty decent, because Eric Lauer and Adrian Hauser had a 3.22 and a 3.19. So those are both really good numbers there. But under 3, that's elite level, and they have 3 people in their bullpen or in their rotation there who were threw under a 3 last year. So going to be a tough matchup throughout the year. We'll play them a few times. And then they have Josh Hader coming out of the pen, who is just incredible in itself. As a relief pitcher, closer, whatever. He's more a closer. But Devin Williams as well, good pitcher. So they're a pretty damn good rotation. Baseball's funky. Someone's performance can change from year to year real quick. But that's shaping up to be a tough team to play all year. Their offense lacks a bit. Christian Yelich had a really bad last year, a former MVP. You don't expect to see that from him. And that's what they struggled with last year was their hitting. They get into the playoffs and then they get I think it was Houston they lost to, the Astros. No, it was the Braves. So they were shut out twice in the NLDS. So if you can't score runs, you're not going to win the game, obviously. So they add Andrew McCutchen in the offseason to play as DH. That's a huge thing coming into this season, the universal DH. So that should help them, the National League, picking up the DH. We're not going to have pitchers hitting anymore, which, it was coming. It had to happen at some point. I know there's, some traditionalists who are probably upset about it. But overall, I think it's better for the game. Pitchers are getting worse and worse at hitting. And, it's just better. Offensively, more runs might not be scored in the end because, like I said, baseball is funky. But, having a DH in the lineup, someone who is, swinging the bat consistently, that's going to help a lot. And they also added Hunter Renfroe in right field who came over from the Red Sox. So that's another good option offensively. So I'm going to take the Brewers to actually win our division. I think let's get more into the Cubs now. I talked a lot about the Brewers just because that's our first matchup here. But the Cubs looking all right in the bullpen. Added Marcus Stroman from the Mets, 5'7" pitcher, which is insane. So we have Kyle Hendricks, who hopefully he can bring things back around. Marcus Stroman, Wade Miley from the Reds. Drew Smiley, honestly not sure where he came from, but they're all right guys. They're not hard throwers. They're not going to be throwing flames out there, but they can locate, and if they can get their stuff going, get a lot of ground balls, work it. I think our infield looks pretty good defensively up the middle. We have Nick Madrigal at second, got him over from the White Sox last year, but he was battling some injuries, so didn't get to see him much. Contact hitter will be a good guy in the lineup. But Nico Horner, another young guy up in the middle playing shortstop, contact guy as well. But he was hurt, had a bit of time off last year. And then we have, Patty Wisdom at third and then Schwindel at first. So I think the lineup is looking decent in that, or the middle infield and the corners looking pretty solid. And then of course you have Wilson Contreras behind the plate. So feel good about our defense in that regards. Outfield's looking a little messy. We have Seiya Suzuki coming over from Japan. It's his first year, so that's going to be, there's going to be a lot of attention on him and how he performs, how he transitions to the MLB opposed to, I guess, the Japanese league, whatever it was. But he was cranking, looks pretty decent in preseason. So we'll see how it goes for him. He'll be playing in right, so that moves Jason Hayward over to center. And then in left field, we're looking at Clint Frazier, who was another trade. We got him from the Yankees. He was a former 5th overall pick, so hopefully he can get it around. That could be a really young player that, if he could get his hitting up a bit, will be a big addition to this team. Then, like some role players, we got Ian Happ. He's probably going to be DHing for the team now that we have one. Rafael Ortega had a pretty good finish to last year. Michael Hermosillo, not that great. But we have some pretty decent players. I read something today. Let me go to it here. We're kind of the definition of what it was saying is I think a low ceiling, but a high floor team, which it's not, the praise you necessarily want to hear from your team. But I think they have a possibility to compete in that division. We're looking at The Brewers, who I think they're a clear-cut number one team at this point. The Cardinals are pretty decent as well. Had some additions. Albert Pujols is back there, and they came in second last year. So that's who we're going to have to kind of be battling with. They also extended the playoffs this year, so 6 teams will be in instead of 5. So we could compete for one of those wild card spots. I think the Brewers take it. That bullpen's crazy. And the addition of the Hunter Renfroe to get some more pop in that lineup, as well as a DH with Andrew McCutchen, very serviceable hitter at this point. Not your everyday starter, not playing in the field, but he can swing the bat still. It doesn't matter how old you are. He's going to be all right. Reds sold ship. Basically got rid of everything that was good. We signed like Jonathan India and 2 pitchers, Castillo and Maile, but other than that, they sent out Castellanos, sent out, can't think of his name right now, but that team is not looking as, formidable as they once were. They were pretty decent last year. They fell off pretty hard, but they get rid of Castellanos and Jesse Winker. So not great. Joey Votto's still on the team, the old man. He doesn't age, so he'll probably have a pretty decent bat in the lineup. But aside from their pitching, that team is not too scary. And then the Pirates are just absolute dog shit, to be honest. So I think we have a chance to compete in that division for sure. If I'm going to guess, I'm going to be optimistic. We're going to have a lot of things happen. Frank Schwindel, who absolutely was just raking at the end of last year. Let's see here. Let's grab these stats. So 2 teams, played 64 games, started out at Oakland, ended up coming to the Cubs after 8 games there. He was batting 150 through those 8 games at Oakland, and then through the last 56 games he played with the Cubs, had a 342 average, 13 homers, as well as 40 RBIs with an OPS of 1.002 and a slugging of .613. Excuse me. So that's a big question. Unknown guy, pretty much, came out and just destroyed. He's 29, so it takes a while in the MLB. If you're not a clear-cut star, they take some time, maybe even till like 25 to really hit their stride, just how baseball works. But he's 29, but the prime years of a baseball player, I'd say 27 through 32. At 32, 33, 35, 34, 35, that area, that's when you start seeing the decline for most people. Of course, there's outliers who keep it up, but not often. And Frank's 29, so I don't know how much juice he has left in the tank, but he was ripping them at the end of last year. 6'1", that's a short first baseman. But, let's go, Frank. Let's keep hitting it. Frank the Tank, keeping him alive. Patrick Wisdom as well. Power bat, no doubt. Broke the Cubs rookie record for home runs in a season. It's funny calling him a rookie considering he himself is 30. But had 28 homers, he had 338 bats, played 106 games, so not even a full season. But a 231 average, you don't love that. It's not terrible. It works, especially with someone who's going to provide that pop in the lineup, but would like to see that number come up. So I think those are 2 big questions that really will decide how this team goes. If our corners are hitting well, I think this team has potential to make the playoffs. I'm not going to say they're going to do much more than that, just because all around the league there's some unbelievable teams. You look at the Dodgers getting Freddie Freeman. They lost their pitcher to the Braves, but a couple other moving parts. But that team's pretty much the same. You got Mookie Betts leading off. That batting order, let's just run through this real quick. to see the Dodgers here, just their potential. You got Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Trey Turner, Max Muncy, Justin Turner, Will Smith, Chris Taylor, Cody Bellinger batting 8th. Cody Bellinger had a really bad last year, but he was a guy that was, he either won MVP or was incredibly close. Gavin Lux as well at second. So that team is ridiculous. And then you top on that their bullpen is also just insane. The Dodgers will probably be going to, they'll probably get back to the World Series pretty soon. It might be this year, it might not be. But, the Braves didn't lose much of a step either. Some big things happened with them over the offseason. Of course, Freddie Freeman leaves, but they, replace him with Matt Olson from the Oakland A's, who was ripping. The A's sold shop as well. They basically did a Cubs last year before the season started, and as well as I guess the Reds at this point. But they sold out. Ronald Acuna is going to be coming back. They also added Kenley Jansen. That's who it was from the Dodgers. I guess a relief closing kind of pitcher. So that's going to be a good team. They can still pitch very well themselves. They are incredibly deep in the pitching staff. I'm not going to go through every team. I'm getting a little carried away here, but I've been doing a lot of research, just trying to catch up because, to be honest, I haven't paid the most attention to baseball through the years. I guess MLB 2K, because I had an Xbox, which is so great. Why MLB the show is back or is now on Xbox is because MLB 2K stopped making games 2K11, and that's a great way, or just I feel like an under realized reason as to why you know so many players. So a lot of these names are like super new to me. I'm not necessarily fully in touch with the MLB today. Getting better with it, but I've been reading a ton, so I think I've caught up a decent amount. I'm gonna play some MLB The Show, so maybe learn some more. But basically the point is the Cubs, I think they have a chance to compete. Looking around the National League here, it's going to be the NL East is going to be tough with the Braves, Mets, Phillies. The Phillies upgraded in the offseason. Mets need to stay healthy in the pitching staff. They add Max Scherzer, who's a top 10 pitcher still today. And DeGrom's the best pitcher in the game when he's pitching, but the thing is he rarely does. And it's looking like he's going to be out for a period of time this year with, I guess, even before the season starts, with some kind of arm issue. But that'll be a tough division. Mets, Phillies, Braves. I think the Braves come out with it. I think the Phillies push them, though. I think the Phillies do push them. They got Castellanos from the Reds. Of course, they have Bryce Harper. And then there's some other good guys in the lineup. And then their pitching staff's pretty deep as well. So I think the Braves make it. I think the Phillies make it. I think the Mets get hurt and don't make it. So that leaves an opening for us right there, because there's going to be 3 wild cards. And you got I think there's going to be three. Yeah, there's going to be 6. There's going to be 6 teams. So yeah, there's going to be 3 wild cards. So there's going to be 6 teams. Then looking at our division, I don't think the Reds compete. The Pirates are terrible. I think the Cardinals are who we need to beat out in the division. I think the Brewers have it. I think they run away with it. I think we could get that wild card from the Cardinals. Then this last division, the NL West, Dodgers, Giants, Padres are who I'm kind of looking at to compete in that one. The Rockies aren't very good, and the Diamondbacks are pretty damn bad too. Rockies just signed Chris Bryant. Chris Bryant, come back home, man, to the Cubbies. The Padres, they fell off real hard last year. They were in that kind of 3-team, that 3-headed dog stretch with the Giants and the Dodgers, and then fell off real hard. Giants ended up edging out that Dodgers teams last year, and they really didn't lose a lot. That pitching staff is really good with Logan Webb. So look for the Giants to compete right with the Dodgers, despite how damn good that team is. So if I'm looking at it, I'm going to take Dodgers, Giants. They're both making it. I'm going to say, so that's 2 teams. I'm going to take the Brewers and the Cubbies. That's another two teams. And then we're going to go the Phillies and the Braves. So the Cubbies sneak in. Let's call it 88 wins for the Cubbies. And then, Seiya gets Rookie of the Year. Kyle Hendricks, has a great year pitching. Marcus Stroman, his 5'7" self stays strong. We're going to be throwing the ball slow, but if we can locate it, get some ground balls, let the boys play, we'll be all right. Wilson Contreras, he's going to have to rake. That's the thing. This team has potential. They can hit the ball. It's just the question of whether Frank was a fluke. Patrick Wisdom as well. I don't think he is. That was a good season. He's going to keep hitting the ball pretty hard. Nick Madrigal needs to be super contact heavy. I think a bold prediction that ESPN had for him. Let's see it here. They have us in 22nd as the power rankings. Nick Madrigal hits 336, the highest by a Cubs batter since Bill Maddock hit 339 in 1976. He also hits 0 home runs. So that tells you that's just a prediction, obviously. I mean, he hit a home run in spring training, so he has it in him. He's just, he's not a power guy. He's a contact guy. So I think he'll do all right with his first year over here. Young guy, so building that guy up. Young kind of core there. Nico Horner is also a youngin, born in 97. Shortstop contact guy, but a little bigger. Clint Frazier, still a young guy himself, so he could play well, kind of get things in order. Ian Happ right behind him, same age. He's a young guy, so there's some young guys in there. It's a big year for Jason Hayward. He can't swing the bat. He's a defensive guy. Hopefully he can get the bat together. He's probably batting around in that 230 range, but doesn't have that upside power that Patrick Wisdom has. So going to have to see some more out of him. I think it's a contract year. And then Seiya Suzuki. There's bats in this lineup. We can get it going. The bullpen's all right. So that's what they mean. They say, high floor, low ceiling kind of team. If they make the playoffs, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be keeping up with it quite a bit. Let's over to the AL here. A lot of people are loving the Blue Jays, and good for them. That is a very fun team to watch. You got Vlad Jr., Bo Bichette as well. Those are two young core players. Their pitching staff's pretty damn good too. They actually, Bleacher Report has them as the second best pitching staff. Alek Manoah is he's a youngin himself. They're just pretty solid. They're all the way through pretty smooth, tough team to look at. And then, their batting is also, obviously insane with some of the guys they have there. So, they have the second best pitching staff in Bleacher Report's ranking, as well as the second best offense. George Springer, Vlad Guerrero Jr., Teoscar Hernandez, Bo Bichette, Kevin. They're going to be a good team. They're going to be tough to get out, but that division is ridiculous. You have the Yankees still have Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge. So, and then they have Garrett Cole on the mound. And they have other, of course, they have good players around, but I'm not going to go through everyone. The Red Sox, really good themselves, as well as the Rays. So that might be, with 3 wild cards this year, that division might literally take them all. Ridiculously good ball coming out of the AL East. Should be a fun division to watch. This year was last year as well. The Blue Jays last year, I'm pretty sure, let's see this, 2021, Blue Jays were 91-71 and did not make the playoffs. The Red Sox were 92-70, so missed it by 1 game. If they're in the NL, they make the playoffs. If they're in the AL, they do not. So tough division, going to be another one. Might have gotten tougher this year. The Rays are really good in the bullpen. Not a great hitting team, which has hurt them, but they've been to a World Series recently. They won the division, I think, the past 2-3 years. So they have the ability to win games even when they're not scoring that many runs. That's how good their pitching staff is. But they have a really, really damn good. I guess he was a rookie last year, but Wander Franco, yeah. He's ridiculous. Got hurt. He's going to be back. So that team should be good. That division's going to be really fun to watch. As it goes, I'm partial to the Red Sox. I do really like the Red Sox. I grew up kind of cheering for them a bit, even though I'm not going to say I cheered for both of them. I definitely cheered for the Red Sox when like the Cubs were not in the playoffs. I always loved Manny Ramirez and Big Papi, and my uncle was a big Red Sox fan. So on those playoff runs, I would root for the Red Sox. It wasn't necessarily a Red Sox fan, but it was fun watching those teams. I haven't paid up much attention to them ever since Papi left. One of my favorite baseball players of all time. But anyways, that division's going to be great. Maybe the Red Sox pull it off. Maybe they don't. White Sox looking real good in the AL Central. I think they take that one easy. I don't think they have a ton of competition. The Guardians, Shane Bieber, good pitcher. The Royals will be all right. They got Zach Greinke. I think they have another pitcher. Zach Greinke back to Kansas City. He left the Dodgers. He started out there. The Twins with Byron Buxton and now Carlos Correa. That's going to be, that's going to be a decent division. Pretty all right, but no one's great besides the White Sox. I think they're going to take that one. Rangers, Astros, Athletics, Angels. That'll be a tough one toss-up. It's surprising because the Angels have two great players in Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout, but the team has just been subpar. So they got to bring some things around in that regards. But I think the Astros stay on top in that division and take it. So that's pretty much it for the baseball talk. I think I am going to, I'm going to play some MLB this show tonight. I want to get back on it, and because I didn't play for that long. I was pretty tired yesterday, but looking forward to it. Baseball, let's get really into it. My T-Mobile Tuesday gave me MLB TV for free, so I'll be able to watch all the games as well, which is pretty awesome. But other than that, it's Wednesday team, hump day. Got over the hump, I guess. Whenever I get home from work on Wednesday, that's when I'm over on the other side of the hump. But tomorrow's Thursday. It's going to be a good day. We're going to have some baseball on early. I might just have to watch a little bit at work. I won't be hurting anybody. I'll still be doing my job. Don't worry. Don't tell on me. But let's get down into it. Baseball season kicking off. The Masters start tomorrow or Friday maybe. I might have said that wrong earlier. But they might be tomorrow. They might be Friday. I think maybe Thursday. I think that's when they start. So we'll see that. Maybe I'll get out, roll some rock tomorrow. It is taco week, so go get some tacos. I had tacos, but they were not from somewhere here. I made them at home. But maybe I'll go get some tacos after this because I have not eaten dinner yet. But go get your tacos, support your local places, support your local podcasts as well. That meaning the Purple Podcast. If you're enjoying this, give me a 5-star. I think Spotify allows for it. I think Apple does as well. 5-star in a review. If you feel like it. If you don't. That's all right. But just keep grinding, grow this thing. Coming up this weekend, I think on Friday it's looking like maybe the Kaleo concert is the thing. So going to the Louisville Palace, I think that's what the plans are. Have not bought tickets yet. But think I'm going to make it that way. I went to a concert my senior year of high school in Indianapolis, and Kaleo wasn't as big then, but he opened for the Lumineers, so he's still big. He sang that, and way down we go, 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 go. That song, that's him if you don't know who Kaleo is. So it should be, I think he's Icelandic, or he's some kind of crazy where he was born or where he's from. So might do that Friday. Other than that, everyone else enjoy your week. Finish up strong. It's going to be a good one. Let's see how long I made this episode. 39 minutes of me talking straight. So this will be on the shorter side for all those who voted in the poll and said, they prefer the shorter episodes. We're still going to do some long ones, but it's especially hard when it's just me up here talking to myself. But went through a lot of things. Congrats to Connor on winning the bracket. Yeah, I think I'm going to get some tacos. Don't know where yet, but like I said, other than that, enjoy the rest of your week. We can get through it, team. Don't worry. Friday's right around the corner. And then when we get there, enjoy your weekend. I'm going to try to get some more Cubs I guess recaps, try week over week, kind of go through the games. I'm, of course, not going to do every game, but and I probably won't do every week either, but I'm going to try to. But anyways, I love you all. Once again, thank you for listening. My name's Austin Eisert. This is the Purple Podcast, episode number 18. Peace.